Diane, how long have you been chair at the Royal College of Occupational Therapists?
This is my third year, my third term as the chair of council, and I've actually made the decision to step down at the AGM at the end of June this year. 3 years, it's been quite an interesting 3 years, which I'm sure we'll get into in the course of the discussion. And I feel it's time to allow somebody else into this amazing leadership role.
Yeah, so what have been your highlights over the last 3 years?
Oh gosh, highlights. It's there's been so much, Steve. I think one of the things that really surprised me coming into the role is just how much the Royal College is involved in, you know, across the 4 countries, externally, as well as we've been doing some significant changes internally, things like bringing on the CRM, the whole new brand, you know, that's been a 3-year project in the making as well. But I suppose it's been things like being involved in the strategy and the developments, the research and development strategy, the top 10 research priorities, the new strategy, recruiting a new CEO, i.e. you. Actually things like awarding funding through research, learning, development, awarding fellowships and merit awards. I've had the privilege of hosting 2 Elizabeth Casson Memorial Lectures. We held our first virtual annual conference. COVID permitting, we've also attended a number of amazing examples of occupational therapy practice with our patron, the Princess Royal. Those have been more limited than perhaps they would have been due to COVID, but there have been a few. So, I mean, the list is endless. I mean, I could go on and on, but obviously I won't. And I think it's really hard to say there has been a highlight. So as a highlight has been in this, being in the privileged position that I've been in, to actually be able to support and guide the governance and future of the organisations. That's both the British Association of Occupational Therapy and the Royal College of Occupational Therapists.
There's clearly, I mean, you've done masses where you've been involved in lots of things. It's a voluntary role. What have you gained personally from that involvement? And you might want to talk about how much time it's taken as well, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it is quite a big time commitment as the chair. I mean, all the other roles on council and other boards, obviously we're all volunteers, it is a time commitment. But I think as chair, yes, it is a time commitment. I would say it's around 30 days a year. And that involves chairing council meetings, chairing other panels and advisory groups, attending events, annual conference, a whole range of different things that would entail. What have I gained personally? I think it's been, well, for me, it's been the accolade for my professional journey, really, to actually been able to hold this role and use my leadership skills, use the skills that I developed in the NHS, in academia, in research, and in my personal life, and actually feel that I'm giving back to some of that. Yeah, I would say that's it. I think the art of patience has perhaps been one of the things I might have gained. During my tenure, obviously, we have had a pandemic. We have had a number of issues. We've been developing our equality, diversity and belonging strategy and roles within the Royal College. So there has been a lot of additional work that we perhaps hadn't anticipated, particularly around COVID and the pandemic, and making sure that we're supporting members and that council is keeping the organisations governed in the right way to ensure that we're giving the most to members.
I mean, it sounds a very big and maybe even scary role. Who do you think ought to be considering putting themselves forward?
Oh gosh, I think that's an interesting one, isn't it? I think you do need to be somebody that's perhaps had experience of leadership roles and perhaps had experience of being involved in developing strategy and really understanding the difference between operational aspects of management and the strategic side of leadership. And I think, but it also doesn't mean to say it has to be somebody who's had lots of that experience, because I think if you're good at debate, discussion, understanding the challenges, but I also think sometimes, you know, council is a consensus agreement across the members, working in very close association with the Royal College staff and officers. And I think you do have to sometimes understand the ability to agree to disagree, and that not everybody can agree with everything, but we do have to reach an informed, debated decision that is clear to the membership as well. So I think, you know, I think you do have to have those skills as well to be able to interact and debate and negotiate. What would a new chair expect to be focusing on? What would you like to see a new chair focusing on?
I think that's a great question. What will the new chair focus on? Well, I think these are exciting times at RCOT. We have launched our new strategy. We've got our new values. And I think in many ways, the council and the chair of council is that job is really to make sure that we're focused on that and we deliver that we deliver that on behalf of the members, that we're true to our values, that we're successful in implementing our strategy. So it's a non-executive role. It's not. We have got a team who are responsible for kind of delivering on the strategy, but I think it's about bringing that challenge, that being a critical friend, testing whether things really are working, being able to hold to account at times, giving perhaps some cover to the team when things aren't perhaps very popular or tough decisions have been made, but doing that on behalf of the membership. And so bringing that whole kind of drive of what do members want to see and how do we make this into a fantastic membership organisation that's driving forward a great profession.
You know, what experiences do you think would help them in the role of being chair?
No, that's a really good question. What experiences would be helpful? I mean, I think it is just chairing a meeting, you know, a complicated agenda, making sure that we've got the right focus, that we're that you're holding the leadership team to account, that you're bringing in kind of colleagues and making sure that conversation is rounded. So that's that is about leading, chairing meetings, leading teams, and I think that's clearly important. I think having some kind of sense of what good governance looks like and what are the responsibilities of organisations, and you know, there's a lot of support around all of that. But you know, I guess ultimately the chair is you know, has to make sure that those kind of standards are in place. I think being a fantastic advocate and champion for the profession is really important. Someone who can, you know, who's really ambitious for occupational therapy and for RCOT. And then, you know, I suppose just from a personal perspective, I think it's that relationship between the chair and the chief exec is, you know, I think is really important. You know, we meet every couple of weeks, don't we, for an hour or so, and you know, just someone who, you know, just a wise person that I can just talk through some of the issues, some of the challenges, and you know, and someone who can give advice and support in all that times, and challenge as well, you know, if I'm when I'm not doing the right things. So you know, I think that's what I'm kind of looking for, really. But it's, you know, it's there's a team of other council members as well who all have their own kind of strengths and bring something to the table as well. So I guess it's that, you know, the leader of that team who can make sure that everybody can play their part, I think is important.
Yeah, it would be so lovely to see a number of people putting themselves forward, so the members can have a vote as to who they would like to see in the position.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think if people are tempted or wondering about the idea, then please do get in touch with either of us and just talk it through, really. you know, it is a big step, and sometimes people don't always know whether they have got the right experience or not. And you know, would be really happy to help people in their kind of decision making about whether to put their hat in the ring.
If people think, well, it might be a role for me, but I'm not sure, then just get in touch.